One-on-one on
One of the cardinal gifts that God has blessed Celestial Church of Christ with is our prophetic ministry.
Yeah.
In your view, do you think the prophetic ministry in Celestial Church is living up to expectation?
It still falls back on what I said earlier. If you have a member in your church that, you just come to the church today, you put on a four corner and you challenge that person, we don't know you as a prophet or prophetess. And the moment that person, you challenge that person and they're not forthcoming, what they will do, they go to another church. And when they even go into that church with a full prophetic regalia, sometimes they don't question them. And when you don't, question, when you don't question them, and then you start to that negative attitude start to slightly, infiltrate into the church. And we believe that when the Lord has said something, and one of the issues with prophecy is that we say the Lord has said this. But we can't go to God and confirm until something on the opposite of that start to happen, or something on the right part of that start to happen. And that's why God said, "How do you know the right prophet?" Is the spirit is the same prophet that says and God fulfill, because God has said and God will fulfill. So when we look at the prophetic ministry today, and when we look at the size of our church, how we cannot deal with it unless God deal with it for us, because the church is so big, the church is so vast, and we have people that are migrating. It's like, if you leave Canada today, you go to Nigeria and you don't wear this regalia that you're wearing four corner with loin, everybody welcome you. Nobody will say anything, to you. And there's some churches that they still do those checks and balances, but those churches are few and far behind. There's not a lot of them that does that. So in the prophetic ministry, I don't think it's something that we can lay guidelines for. It is only the Lord Himself and the Holy Spirit that can direct us on that. Because how do you when someone tells you that, this is what the Lord have said, sometimes straight away that it is not what the Lord has said. But look at it this way. One of the key things, we had a prophetic gathering one day. One of the elders that was speaking there is that one of the issues in the world today is that everybody knows that there's none of us that don't have matrimonial issue, that don't have family issues. And then a prophet calls you and say, go and pray against families, go and pray against Ogunjile. Everyone has it. So how do you then? It's just a generic thing. Will you say that person is that's lying? Whether you come from the best of the family, whether you come from the richest of the family, whether you come from the most spiritually strong of the family, everybody has it. Joseph was in his family, the strong, he has it. David was in his family, he was strong, he has it. Jesus amongst his people as well, he has it. So he's there. And when the moment someone tells you that go and pray against this, how do you then how do you relay that this is? But of course you will know. You will know the Lord, because all those things that they're telling you, if it doesn't come to pass, you then know that. But by the time that person will have done their work in that church and move, maybe not even to another church in Canada, probably move to America. And then by the time you move from I don't know how many states in America, maybe probably 56 or 36. By the time you move from one of these states to the other, he's even holding himself alone to do anything. So on that hand, it's only God that can deal with that. If we say we can put some guidelines to deal with that together, I personally think we'll just be chasing the wind. But it's God that we can pray to, for God to intervene in the prophetic ministry. When you read the Bible as well, the Bible said to us that false prophets, and so it's not something that is happening and now, and it's not something that happens in Celestial Church of Christ alone. It happens in Kibra and Seraphim. It happens in other churches that speak in tongue or that prophesy. So, and then the difficult part of it is that when someone says God said this, God is not a person that can go and knock his door that hey, Oga, they said you said this. Was it true? So that is the way on that. So it's only God.
Because if you compare the way people dress in Nigeria, you will see that it's quite different from the way Celestians dress, for example, in the UK, in Canada, in the US, Europe, and everywhere. So, what is your view about this issue of indecent dressing? I mean, the sutana that is being sown, the way we dress, the way we make up, the way we appear before God.
When you look at that, I'll look at it in two spheres, and I'll explain why I look at it in two spheres. The first one, it has to do with the church, because if someone dressed in an appropriate, manner, and I remember vividly, there was a time that late Reverend Pastor Bada of blessed memory came to our church one day, and I wasn't in church. I think it was just an impromptu visit. I went to another church, and by the time I got to church, he has been and he has gone. And one of the ladies that was actually by the door was actually wearing a transparent sutana. So he then called one of the elders. I said, well, we have told them and they don't listen. And I can remember vividly what Baba Bada said on that day was that that you think that because you want your church to be full, that's why you're putting everybody there. And it stems on the fact that a lot of people, when you say to a member of your church, this dressing is indecent, you must not wear this to church. When they go to the next parish, they get welcome. And that's why I say it goes back to what I said earlier. When we all have level playing ground, when we have same protocols on dressing and every single thing, so that when you get to that church, that is the same thing that you will meet. Then that person will know that, oh, I cannot do that. And then when you look at I can use the quote, the Western world that we are in today. When you try to challenge people that, oh, you're not supposed to wear this in church, the first thing that you probably hear from some of them is that I don't want to pay my fares to come here. I didn't pay your fares to come here, but by the grace of God, I'm the one that the Lord has kept here. So if you know that you want to worship here, this is the best way for you to dress. And then as I said, is we can deal with it on the church level, but if church A is dealing with it and church B, C, and D is not dealing with it, you'll find out that church A, when you talk to them, the person that person will have friends in church A, B, C, D, and say, oh, my shepherd said this today, my friend, leave your shepherd, Jerry, come to church. So until we have that, until we have that set rule that is the balance in all areas, then it's difficult. And of course, not just the transparent stunner alone as well. You see quite a few people on their loin that they wear. The loin is probably actual K or different type of materials. I'm going to say something very controversial here, and for a lot of people that knows K2, that is international headquarters in K2, most of all these loins are sold there. When you go there, you will see them lay it on the thing, because most of them they buy it from there. And I stand corrected, but my word is that if let's look at it as if let's look at the relationship between Nigeria and Benin Republic now. I think some of the borders in Nigeria is closed now because they say they do rice importation.
Right.
So what they did was that they closed the border so that they can't bring the rice in. They know they have one point to check it there, but the moment the person leaves there, gets into the country, you have about 300 markets to go and look for where the rice are being sold, compared to the one source. So the first source that I think, or I suggest they look at is that look at the people that are selling them. If there is no there might be, if there's the demand and there's no supply for it, that demand goes down. Right. When you go there, you will see even some of these transparency that you are talking about. You see them displayed. Over there, they are the one that are selling it. Deal with those people that are selling it. Listen, this thing is not right for us. So, and when they go everywhere, they can't find it. If you can't find it, you can't wear it.
Right.
You can't find it, you can't. So the church on an international level has something to do, and the churches on the local level have something to do as well. And then we as individuals as well, we have things to do. It is not until you wear extremely transparent sutana before you look good. It is not until you put on the a jewelry that's about 30 kilograms on your neck before you look good. We can get dressed and we just have to be modest and moderate. And when we do that, then we can think about the key there is that there must be a generic rule within all the churches, so that when you wear it, when you get there, they'll tell you no. When you go to church B, they'll tell you no. When you go to church C, they tell you no. There's some churches in Nigeria today that when you get there, their rule is that you don't wear makeup, you don't wear this. That's their rule. And some people that goes there, they're used to that. By no means saying that they shouldn't wear makeup, but it must be modest. And when it's modest, what you are doing. It's not that we're going to a party or we're going to a fashion parade or whatever. But the key there is that until every church adopt a singular rule on that mode of dressing, there's no way we can deal with it. There's absolutely no way we can deal with it. You just find out that one church is dwindling, another one is moving, because everybody will just be, going there, moving to the other side, and that's the key there.
One on One on Celestial Television Network.